the altar, but even more with the Valkyrie for some of these rotates, as we see Zap now get the follow-up and getting the knock off the RE45. That has continuously been a problem in a lot of these lobbies. A lot of our pros rocking out with these different weapons compositions, as Sentinels also are finding these knocks onto VP.
There we are with the stun. Just seconds to go. NIP, though, they're literally on white. And I do want to note that Kurab did move off the Wraith. He's locked in the Seer. Vayne is going to be playing Wraith for NIP this game. And for Arufa. And playing Wraith for NIP this game. And for Arufa. And Reject. Wanting to finish this fight with BKG. They've already gotten Casa down, Casa out. And behind the Newcastle wall, we have situated ourselves. But they haven't quite found the opening they want for the remaining duo.
You see the pinks too, it's going to be a little risky sometimes. I mean, when you're not rocking out on the Caustic, that's why you're seeing a lot of these Watsons to bunker down instead. He said goodbye to Crypto in game number 1, and VKG even trying a little something different. They had rolled out with the Newcastle, Valkyrie, and the Rampart, but they lost out on that Rampart earlier.
I like what I'm seeing from Dory, and here's the deal. Last time they rotated down and through the west, and we got caught mid-map as we headed over towards Somers University. For Katsuki and Muscle here, they are making their pathway towards the eastern side now. They're being a little more hesitant about it, and there's for good reason. The Falcons are still up in the north. There is a survey beacon here that they'd like to get access to, as well as a ring console. So knowing that they're going to be able to scan both, Dory has to get info, has to run. Alliance nabbing and ring console of need with the time. It's Team Heretics looking for a death box recovery, Alonzi to get back in. It's Kinatrope that has moved up outside of the ring to deny Team Heretics any space. And it's vital for Team Heretics' survival in the tournament. They were in 31st coming into this and need as many points as they can get.
Time is of the essence now. With 5 games left to go, 2 more on Olympus. Heretics now move in from the northern side, coming out of the choke. Kinotrope have not left from their position, but Alliance do find themselves in that next zone. You could assume that, you know, coming out of Grove Towers, they probably got that ring console, see where that zone pool is, and are going to be able to prio getting that light arsenal themselves. Or RRQ are painting the floor with these Watson fences, trying to land some of these Kraber shots. No unlimited ammo, but 6 still in the reserve now. Pricey just trying to take a different angle, playing off the rock. Gen 2 just to help them out, and that would definitely come in clutch if you have to deal with the likes of maybe even Unlimited, who's on that fuse.
Do it. I was like, it's just a smidge windy over there. I just want to see him let it rip. They're just keeping the pressure. They have no space. RRQ are in such a great spot inside that circle, set up as well for VP. Well, they'd like to get there. So knowing that they're going up on the back, Elite Esports just to the south of them, RRQ ahead, the pressure is being put down onto them, and Ozus behind the knockdown is the last for Pricey, working towards those angles. Seer queuing, and Virtus Pro will not live to see another fight in map 2.
And VP out in 17th. RRQ gonna be able to pick that one up. And it is a different zone pool, by the way. So Nemesis. Sentinels get eliminated, and Nemesis are feasting. The Sentinels now going down in 16th. Nemesis will absolutely take those. 3KP in Sacred's pocket. Talk about some young legends in this lobby. I mean, it's typical to not even mention Sacred, who keeps putting on a performance. Team Heretics now, by the way, after getting the full res from Jans, have moved up. And it's still Unlimited who face off against them from the other side of the choke.
Hey, they're just delaying the inevitable. They're bound to meet here on the outside. Only one team can advance onto the circle from this location. And if I'm Team Heretics, I do not want to move through them, but instead we choose our pathing. Gen G on the other side, a quick check from Coast, up through the portal we go, and the battle is on. They take down Asia. Dexter from behind though, keep your eye on the Valk.
Dexter's now sliding in though, and now the last one alive for this team. Team Heretics, time and time, have picked up 2 of the heads of Gen G. Exhibit no problem even right behind them because Jans is feeling himself. Gen G get eliminated as Jans now in some trouble because RC have shown up. Axis gonna be able to find that knock right afterwards, but Team Heretics now will be able to get the reset considering they got the altar, they got the Void Nexus too. Could get the finishing blow here with a lot more of these teams, even like Wolves, who are now skedaddling into that next zone pool. They know exactly where this is gonna be, but they have to be careful playing here very early because Reject could look at them as a limit now. Continuously harassing RRQ.
I want a rogue guy out on an Axel, Yulari man, doing a ton of damage alongside Exuvi. They're kind of setting up these pinch plays as they eliminate RRQ for the most part. But there's a solo still in the circle, still trying to survive. But we are deep in it with Wolves Esports, who have now moved in. It's Pricey with a Kraber, trying to hold steady as Havoc have fallen. And we have no cover. We're between a literal rock and a tree.
I mean, like, literally with a crumb. Can't see me, can't hit me.
Just hit a little bouncy bounce.
Oh, you know when you're trying to do this in your own game, you're like, nah, you're bad.
Pricey, no, MK, come on.
Can he actually get away? No way. All right, he's done, all right.
All right, we tried.
They were so tired of it, but the fact that they have to leave their position just to get that solo.
They're like, no. Pricey can't get away with this.
Nah, he was schmoving, all right? Got definitely a special spot in my heart here. RRQ now. Out of here, out of this lobby. Falcons, though, their wings have not been clipped as they're looking onto NIP.
Dude, they've just done so much damage. Yeah, it really do be like that. Kurev down. The res coming through immediately. Vayne, a wingman in hand with a Wraith's best friend. You're gonna have to try and stave off that push because the Falcons are healthy in this fight.
A lot better of a time here for Falcons, while now Alliance are holding on to Pride Rock. Or I guess Pride Building here, overlooking the action that they're not involved with at their feet. Newcastle Walls for all. Alliance with their family cheering them on in the crowd.
This is going to be a tough one for them, though. They are literally in the congested spot of the map. Yes, they have high ground, but you have Team Nemesis, Shopify Rebellion, and the Falcons all at your feet.
Oh my gosh.
You are looking at all of these teams with ninjas and pajamas just across them. Falcons with Hal on Valk take to the sky, and where do they decide to go?
I mean, the fact that you're Valkyrie,
Back
you get
into
the
it!
human UAV, you get back into the action, you send out the missile storm, you try to get the drive-by here, as Guild follows up the fine phony. It's a trade-up, though, as Zap gets the double knock. Falcons get eliminated. They try to take that fight, and they pay for it, while Kurev is popping off 2 knocks onto Nemesis. They're eliminated next. I see the
And
Kramer
Elite?
in the feed, too, as Elite now, too. Before following up, Kurev is just built different. Elite get eliminated. He's looking right behind him, the last one alive here from the other side of RC now.
But it's Reject who immediately try to take shots at the NIP. We are into the top 5 because of the collapse. Urice, Kraber in hand,
no.
150. He escapes.
Welcome back to the legend, Urice, who's been doing so well. Reject now move up with 5 squads left after they were able to find that knock onto Vayne, but they have control over this lip. Kurev, look at his HP, by the way, until they finally get eliminated. It was like a pixel of health.
Good timing on the bub. Good timing on the bub. We lose out on ninjas and pajamas. Off screen at the hands of Unlimit. So you have Kenotrope, Unlimit, Wolves Esports. Is this the comeback game they needed? Kenotrope. Wolves took a position early into the game. On the other side, the west side. Kenotrope, their neighbor, trying to hold steady behind the Newcastle wall.
Hearing those hemlock shots is like giving them a haircut. Holding on for dear life right behind the Newcastle walls. With 4 squads left, though, Wex is going to be forced to pop the shield bat. No name looking on. Gold hemlock, by the way, but he doesn't have a lot of heavy ammo. Having to be careful. The Kramer, tears in his eyes, now dropping the meds that he may need. He doesn't have a med kit left after that one. Only 1 shield bat. You see the fence line right in front of them, but there's literally, with these 4 teams left in this lobby, Tip, I mean, you're holding each angle of this end zone.
And it's all about resource managing. Having that extra wall, so knowing that once you have to move, you can re-slam it down and intercept those grenades. But Reject face the brunt of the pressure across the way as Unlimit swings on him. Into the skies they go, thanks to Axel. Yalari Man being such a menace here as Wolves get sent.
Honing in with the drone as Wolves inside the dome, 2. Kenotrope get eliminated. Last 3 squads, and it's Unlimit facing down against Wolf. Reject on the other corner, but Unlimit now move
The
up.
knuckle cluster.
They have the best position here.
That pylon saves them, but everyone is focusing straight onto the Wolves.
Lori Man now, though, looking on the other side as Axel. Masubi is farming. It's just a matter of time. As Unlimit are your Game 2 winners. Nobody to dethrone the Kings, who hail from the mighty jungle. Unlimit. They clutch it here for game number 2.
He's really woke up that game. We saw him napping before and said, nah, I'm awake. Just watch. 7 kills for that team. A 19-point game.
Wow.
5,700 damage. They were already inside the top 14, but just barely. And a performance like that can cement you into the finals on Saturday. They just need a few more. We need more points. I love how consistent they've been.
Can we talk about the fact that they put in like almost 6K damage?
That's what I'm saying. Bro is just running around playing ranked on Axel.
Actually, though. Oh my goodness, some Axel action. We talk about the teams that actually end up using like those unorthodox compositions, right, going into Olympus. And I get a little bit of PTSD when you see the influx of Axel in your own respective rank games, and Unlimited is here to convert it into a win, to be in the best spot possible to clean up the rest of the KP from the remaining squads who were neighboring each other, by the way, in that final zone in every angle of that zone.
Such a good performance. Love checking in with the Wolves. 10 points for them, a turnaround performance, because when you think about their journey here this week, they started out so incredibly strong. 47 points in their first series, 10 points in their second. That's what we're showing. It's a roller coaster, right? But for the Wolves, just alone in match 2 to grab 10 points, is this the turnaround they needed in the group stages here?
Can it be enough?
It's the start.
I mean, you know what is a start, at least, is the way that we're seeing Alliance and their rotate into zones like this. It was a crazy pool. Not so similar to the first game zone, and it kind of, threw off a lot of these other teams here, but the way that Unlimit was able to not only hold the high ground, they played their comp to their advantage. I would not want to be the teams looking up at the umbrella that is Unlimit here. Subi was just farming them. I mean, Newcastle wall, no problem. It's not like you're going to drop here as Unlimit patiently able to take game number 2 with a nice little pop-off.
And the celebrations go wild, the momentum that you need to carry on throughout our series. I do want to give a shout out to Team Nemesis as we pull up our match results. 7th place overall on their finish, right? But they had 11 kills. 14 total points in that game, just behind Elite Esports, who walk away with 9. Ninjas in Pajamas find themselves another 10. Reject, 13. Like, we are seeing a few teams in the double digits, and that's consistency that we need for them, especially if you were on the cusp of elimination today. Alliance, sure, 4 points. And RRQ could not defend that God spot. That would have been so nice for them. It's such a good spot in the game, just slightly too early.
A little bit here too, and while our pros are getting ready for game number 3, I'm hearing that Snipedown's got a guest with him. Let's take it over to Snipedown.
Well, hey, Snipe.
I guess I'm hosting it.
Hi, guys. I'm Rain Days. It's great to meet you. Great to meet you. Well, either way, we're together, Snipe and Rain Day, here to do a little mid-match recap. We talk about this in the green room. All the talent sit back, watch the games. We thought, why not bring some analysis mid-game just so you guys can know what we're thinking. First off, Elite, number 1 story, number 1 place. It's again and again and again. I couldn't believe it. Can you believe how well this team is playing?
Honestly, I know how good they are. Graceful has been just hyping them up the entire time. They even called him out yesterday and said he's the biggest hype man. Yeah, for real. I think he might be getting paid under the table or something. But I mean, I think Elite is Elite. I mean, they're continuing their dominance from yesterday, and I think one of the craziest things about them is that it doesn't matter what the team comp is. They're not just winning at the start of series, they're also winning at the end of series, which means that they have a plethora of characters and team comps that they are comfortable with, and that is a deadly combo heading into this and continuing with how they're doing.
They seem to be the most comfortable team at this LAN as of now. There's still a lot of LAN to be played, though. Teams will be going home, and speaking of 2 teams who were on the bubble, 2 of our top teams coming into this, number 1 seed in North America, and then one of our top 3 seeds in EMEA, Alliance. They were almost out starting today, but they've gotten some early wins. How do you feel about Alliance getting some points on the board early and the confidence that can mean for a very passionate fan base?
Yeah, I mean, we knew when Hawkins took that interview. I mean, you don't take an interview when you're doing poorly if you don't have full confidence in your team. So I think for them and NIP, we talked about it when we were on the desk earlier, is, these are some of the best teams in the world, no doubt about it. So for them to be as far as they were down at the bottom of the leaderboard and to have as strong of a game 1 as they did, the worst thing would have been for it to be in games 4, 5, and 6 and be like, okay, now we need to drop this, because then you have to change your play styles. But to come out in that game 1 to be both NIP and Alliance as 2 and 3 and getting those 10+ points to secure like at least a little bit of a buffer in the rest of the series is huge. It's important, and it's interesting to see that even in that game 2, even though we ended right around the same spot, completely different teams who ended up in the end game. So it wasn't as consistent, but for them to start off strong, absolutely massive, and I expect them both to continue.
Don't want to forget somebody. I know we had Kenotrope in there, we had Reject, we had RC, and I believe we had Unlimit in that final zone. 4 teams. We had Wolves as well. That might have been the 4th team, not Reject. 4 APAC teams in that final zone. However, 5th place was NIP, so they seem to keep climbing up. This bodes well if you are a fan of NIP and Alliance. However, APAC, we cannot forget about them. Snipe, they are a team, APAC South, that is defending this EWC. VK Gaming still have a chance not only to make it in, but they have a chance to have one of their representatives hoist the trophy yet again.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I've been waiting for the Wolves in the Unlimit, especially Unlimit, to get that first big win. We talk about how dominant Yulari Man is. We have a lot of people, even NIP Cole, talking about how he's a top 3 player in the game and controller player. And honestly, I mean, it's good to see that, and we'll see if the momentum continues, and it's nice to see basically a full end game with APAC teams.
Thanks for the Green Room chat, man. I'm sure the fans at home enjoyed your analysis. Also, casters probably enjoyed a little bit of a break. We're going to send it right back up to the caster booth, though, because we got another game on the way.
Thank you so much, you lovely gents. Rain Day and Snipe Down bring it to us nice on how the APAC teams are performing thus far. And just looking at a final zone like that is chef's kiss, as we are now down 2 games off of Olympus. 1 more to go before we transcend onto Storm Point to wrap this series up. And what's on the line here for the teams that want to be able to find that cushion, kind of have their own fate in their own hands before we see what the next set of groups will provide to us. Just to highlight the stakes here, everybody, the bottom 6 teams will be going home after today. And for the remaining teams here, you have to imagine the top 14 will be able to move on to that final round for our final lobby, while the remaining teams will have to play through a survivor stage. A lot on the line here as we take a look at our overall rankings. Elite just continuously putting on a masterclass.
They are just climbing. They started this series in 13th. We've moved up to 7, so we're just kind of continuously moving. Reject feeling comfy as well. Elite was up there. You move on over Team Nemesis in 20th now. They'll probably lock in the survival stage, but if they keep going and throw down an explosive series, who knows, maybe top 14. Teams that are also still on the up and up, Wolves Esports, Alliance now in 26 on the overall ranking. Mind you, we're trying to stay out of the bottom 36. So teams that are in our lobby that are facing that contention right now is Dory. And now we did talk about the fact that Dory did have their coach Muscle step in for them to play, as Show was unable to travel here and compete on the stage. But the Unlimit fans, man, they're feeling pretty good after that win.
Oh yeah, Unlimit, man. I love the fans that we've been seeing and traveling from all around the world. Unlimit being one of those teams. I mean, when you find yourself in the top 10, you want to be able to keep this going, especially if you want to find yourselves in that final lobby without having to play an extra set of games. It's a little bit of a different look too in terms of our LAN rule set, where in the survivor stage, we will have a total of 10 games. I'm sorry.
That'd be for real.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I feel like that's what I look like when I wake up.
It's so cute.
He's playing next. He's locked in.
Is he an MK player, you think?
Nah, I definitely look like a roller.
Wait, I play MK, so like, what do I look like?
You look like you're locked in.
Hey, okay, I'll take it. You can stay. You can stay in the booth here. No,
she's not gonna kick me out, guys. Oh my goodness. But it's interesting to see how we get the double back-to-back Southern Zone pool on Olympus, just kind of breaking that down and what it means for the teams like Falcons, who have to literally go from the opposite end all the way north of Olympus down to Somers, and how difficult it could be when it comes to some of these rotates, especially when these zone pools end up giving you whiplash, completely shifting over into, you know, whether it be on the left side of the zone here or even continuously pulling on the outskirts of Somers like we saw in game number 1.
Yeah, there we go. Deep Cross Gaming Roy, PXX PETA, and of course some Wolves supporters as well. As we take a look at our overview of all of our teams getting ready to be locked in, Reject inside the top 14, Sentinels, who haven't necessarily had the strongest start to our series just yet, but when has that ever stopped them? I mean, there are ALGS champs for a reason from Sapporo, so I'm not worried. For Ninjas in Pajamas, who acquire the majority of their points on Olympus, well, they have 26 thus far, so we're doing really good, and that 26 points will throw them so far up out of that 34th position they have, because when I look at it, if you have 26 points after 2 games, you know their series, they already beat their first day series, it was 18 points. We're about to best the day 2 series because that was 27 total, and that was just in 2 matches.
Oof. You know, I actually want to go back to what you were highlighting on Sentinels too,
Sure.
and how their slow start so far on Olympus, as we are getting ready to dive into our last game on Olympus, everybody, game number 3. But you talk about our former world champion Sentinels, who currently are on the cusp of making it into that finals lobby. And that is what this team is playing for, not having to play through a gauntlet of 10 extra games in their survivor stage. I mean, it's in the name alone, everybody, for what our players are moving forward to in this final game on Olympus.
And a brief moment before we dive into that final game, all the teams that are on that comeback story, Team Nemesis, Alliance, just carving their path. Ninjas in pajamas. The Apex Podcast boys, Don, that literally sent me that message and said Ninjas in pajamas are on top today. Bet.
Yeah,
I know you're
what do they
watching.
know?
I know you're watching. Shout out to all of our watch parties across the world tuning into the ALGS Split 1 playoffs at EWC 2026. We are so happy to have you here. You're locking into the player POVs. You're listening to the comms. You know, Wig and Greek are out there. We have Orax. We have our community streamers that are up here. The French Orax, who is always watch partying for the ALGS, here to support all of the teams. And Ninjas in Pajamas Cole, who has looked so strong in our first 2 maps.
There ain't no party like an Apex LAN party, as I always say, Tiv. ALGS, with everybody watching from all around the world. Our pros are ready to impress you. Let's dive into game number 3 officially, guys. And it looks like it's going to be a different zone pool this time around, which could actually benefit the likes of Alliance and Falcons. We're going to have to see how these rotates work out for our Northern POI squads. But we got a first look at how Unlimit, going in from the other side of Olympus from Hydroponics, are going to be moving in to where it looks like is going to be Gardens.
Same, but different. Didn't I just say Ninjas in Pajamas with Gardens, having that on Olympus? I was like, you know, this is one of my favorite places to be because so many circles tend to end in this quadrant of Olympus. To start off there, look, you're just giving yourself all the tools. And for them, there's a survey beacon over in Gardens as well. And you like to see that, but bye-bye Seer. So if you don't have a Recon Legend that has the ability to grab it, we will see how that goes. Shopify Rebellion, though, on one of the quickest rotations I've seen in a hot minute for them, just above 2.5 minutes in. Wolves Esports, through the rift we go onto the north side. Now, the interesting part for me is Elysium with Team Nemesis. We've had a really great first 2 games so far, but with all the teams moving in this early, knowing that they're going to have to defend.
And while we take a look at some of these teams you highlighted, NIP being one of those squads who are looking to ramp up for today on top of Shopify, let's jump into a listen-in with NIP as a hail from above onto Shopify.
Here, pulling here. Come with you. An armor right.
Where are they?
In armor. They're top of the ramp, running portal.
I had no heals, by the way. Give me armor. Go. I can tap your Phoenix.
That's the Gravager team, by the way, going into Gardens.
Oh, get it, Sean. Careful.
Move, go, move! Safe on me.
Holy fuck, man. Yeah, are you gonna take the fucking armor?
He gave me a Phoenix. Alright.
I mean, everything is shit here. You gotta be really careful.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really think about playing this when Rift Height is in. It's kind of shit.
So that's who you're shooting us?
Yeah.
Well, I think this team left.
By the way, we're getting shot entirely here. From here. Fighting over here. Can you portal to that? I'm with you.
I'm just looking.
No, you should portal. I'm with you.
There's a port here. They might take it back.
I'm gonna go run portal. Someone has to fucking anchor, guys.
I'm not playing over there by myself. I'm gonna play in this choke and watch this choke.
Yeah. Well, we have to watch our ramp. Run portal. Are they still fighting or no?
Yes.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
A team of many words when we first tuned into the listen-in here, but, you know, with them trying to make their next move and now already trying to close in the gap here, you can see Vayne being on that Wraith. The Watson fences right in front of them. Already 4 to 5 different teams piled up in Gardens alone, while teams like Gen.G and Flat are facing off by Clinic too. RC, though, aren't going to be giving up this spot, and that coexistence with the Warden Maggie herself. Somebody get laced, because we're going to be saying goodbye to Mad Maggie after this game.
Yeah, I know. As soon as we were looking at Ninjas in Pajamas, it was, you know, Kurev playing that Seer. Seer being banned, locks into the Mad Maggie, leaving Vayne on Wraith. We tune in to the remnants of the Gen.G versus Flat fight. And all 3 of Gen.G members still up for now, and I curse. The trades coming in, Nano down as well as Ziki. So a 2v2 situation. But we immediately Pryo pulling up Nano from the ground as Huzier being chased by Dexter.
Oh my god. Oh.
Okay. Okay, he said, don't follow me, Genji Esports. See you later.
You love it. You love it when you got the purple mag here, too. He says, hasta la vista, getting that next knock. Gen G are now out of this lobby. First team out in our last game on Olympus before we move on over to Storm Point. And, taking a little zoom out, giving me some whiplash. Falcons now starting to rotate here onto Gravity Engine, and right behind them is going to be Kinotrope. No team, though, waiting for Falcons up on the high ground by the staircase when you go out of Gardens. But with the action that we saw earlier from NIP, we know that there's a very big pileup from the early rotating teams already finding their real estate in Gardens.
True. And I'm not too worried with Falcons only having 7 points thus far in the series. The majority of their scoreline has come from World's Edge and Storm Point. And when we move over to Storm Point later on, I'd imagine that they're going to kind of ramp up onto the standings. But for now, turning it around with a 10-point game and some good early fights would be nice for them. It's just difficult because they've been starting in Stabilizer and making a rotate all the way into the already packed eastern side of things. For now, from Gravity, we're waiting for that ring console to just really dictate where we need to play from. A wrong decision will be costly on that final pop.
That's why it's going to be scary when, you have very little room for error now that we're basically at this halfway point, right, Tiff? And now you see teams like Dory who take their time going in from Rift while waiting out from RRQ. They're looking down at Shopify, who have not moved, by the way, from this low ground spot that NIP kind of held them at, and Wolves on the other side of the low ground of RRQ, while Team Nemesis right on top of them, but playing a little split because over by where Elysium has now shifted all the way into the eastern side of the map, they have that one player of Nemesis getting that survey beacon so that way they know how they're going to rotate if they could play from the northern side of this next zone once they see that zone shift.
And as we see it pull through, flat on the other side towards Clinic, Sentinels at the bottom, Alliance, Virtus Pro, VK Gaming, Reject, and Havoc have found themselves with it pulling through. Now, Ninjas in Pajamas, when we had that listen in, they were talking about covering ground. He's like, I don't want to go play just that side of the circle and watch them by myself. They were really talking specifically about their location. They do have that Watson, so they were kind of fencing down across the way. You have Curiv on the Mad Maggie, and with Vayne on the Wraith constantly scouting, things like this are going to constantly break out. Havoc still trying to maintain the flow, approaching with a Mad Maggie ball that goes out the window still. Maybe it's a distraction for Reject. The portal away, and Reject has been eliminated.
Where was that portal going? Reject now the next team out of this lobby. Nowhere to go when your backs are stuck in a corner there. Falcons do take to the skies, by the way, looking to go in for their rotate. Other teams now with KSH.
And there they are.
Havoc too for how they're going to be able to at least hold their own, because it's going to be scary when they're at risk of elimination. You talk about Falcons taking to the skies to try to find their spot, and now they're on the other side of Gardens, Tiv.
Hey, look, if you find a place to play from, Flat's going to have to move in eventually, but a couple of teams are likely taking notice of it. When we saw that POV from Havoc, they looked to the sky. That was the Falcons flying in. They did get their feet on the ground, but everyone is putting the pressure. Missile swarms galore, and Flat say, we can move up on this, and we'll check in with that as a moment later as the Falcons are eliminated.
No way! We got just a glimpse of that at the very beginning before looking at the team just hiding in the corner. But with Falcons getting eliminated in 18th, that is insane. Falcons having a very rough start to their day. They only have 3 more games to go, while Flat on the other end, by the way, are starting off so strong. They keep getting this early KP game after game. So far with already 4 KP. The Mad Maggie working wonders. On top of Nano being on the Axel, Accuser being on the Altar. 3 KP just for Accuser alone, while Elite, full purples here, Henchman losing out on his shield. Having to be careful, he's going to be able to pop his back for now. Looking right behind them, at least they have the safety, though, of the TP. And together, as they take the Void Nexus, going all the way down, RRQ get eliminated, while Alliance pick that up for free. 16 squads left. We'll love to see how Alliance are able to recover from this, because it was that pile-up that we keep seeing over by Gardens. GK now looking down at the rotating team alongside them. It's going to be dropped. Trying to find here with the Wrecking Ball, though, Tip, and with Elite being on the other side, it sets up GK nicely, but they have to be careful with the 3P trying to fly around.
I think they were trying to break that door, and you can see the damage already going down. Light on the roof, trying to keep the pressure. Destroy Noct if he can. Kinda back up with some shields on. Maggie Ball ready to explode. if needed, but for now they have their pylon up, the fences not allowing them to get in. GK do back away for the time being as Unlimit move in and make their presence known. Nemesis, who have already strung a few kills together this match thus far, are still not quite ready to tackle this. But Wolves will have to get out of the ring eventually.
Yeah, at least have like a minute, less than 10 seconds now. Playing on the edge though, it's gonna be difficult. You mentioned Team Nemesis is waiting for them, but they're kind of playing a little split because Kino Trump may be the saving grace, depending on the pressure that Nemesis feel, but Dream kind of hurting him just a little bit. Skittlecakes now is gonna be able to put down the gen. Wolves now forcing their way outside of the zone, as you mentioned before, and Team Nemesis trying to cover literally 2 teams at the same time. Kino Trump on the other side of the fence. Well, Monsoon, by the way, does take a picking out of Team Heretics. Good luck, Crazy. Unfortunately, that was crazy to try to take that zip line.
The fact that Sacred turns around and looks at the zip, that should give Skittlecakes the reprieve he needs to get back to his team. He was the one that was on that fence line.
Oh
okay. Okay, Skittles.
He dropped like a hot rock. I saw that death box coming and flying. Wolves get eliminated. This fight's been going on for quite some time, though. This is what we were mentioning in the feed with Team Heretics, Elite, kinda, also getting Keon. So it's that 3-team pileup that we've been seeing before. Elite holding on to this back end. Oh my gosh, he even got sent up early, but he gets the backup as GK get eliminated, but beautiful. As kinda was also right there to help out Henchmen. They get the reset and they get the res.
But if that doesn't highlight the synergy that Elite Esports are operating on, if he's not there to immediately get that trade, the reset for Elite gets pretty much drawn out. And when you need to hit that rotate from the southern side at the fullest health you can in case of a fight, that's a great reset. Like, it's so good.
It is, because now they get to clear up that southern side of zone, right, Tiff? And now they're going to be able to look at the fight happening over to their left side if you're considering Sentinels and Unlimit. Well, Flat isolated by Clinic. I love this spot for Flat. As long as they don't really get griefed by the northern rotating teams, there is that one lone warrior from Team Heretics trying to make the magic happen. It's going to be hard. Flat playing very split up on purpose as they're harassing Team Heretics, and they get that KP. Good looks here for Flat as Nemesis now deviate their attention over to NIP, still taking their time, but it's going to be Flat. The kings of the next zone pool, where they have control over that ring console. Remember, this zone has been pulling a lot closer to Flat for the last 3 games, and now this time they traverse a little bit as Kino Trump takes the skies.
And here goes the next fight. So much damage was already done to them while on their Valkylt. Now Flat just looking to isolate them. Early on, just before this, I want to note we lost out on Sentinels in this game. We'll see how they work on Stormpoint. For now, Flat, the benefits of landing at a Summers University, a quick rotate north, and Kinotrope already down to 2. Valve trying to see what they can, but it's not enough. We cannot recover from that rotation.
Dude, Flat are like far.
The third party?
Wait, hold on.
The third party?
Talk about the timing here. They lose out on Nano. That was Skittlecakes. Team Nemesis getting a little bit of revenge, but with this fight now going to take a bit, this is the green light for NIP to move up and grief either of these teams. And now with Nemesis moving up, they find that next knock onto Flat. Now down to a solo. Can they fully reset is the question.
Burning.
The 3P now is going to be able to face off as it's NIP Team Nemesis. Flat just trying to play out their life, looking to get this res next.
Louis been dropping riot drills all over the place, and Sacred playing from the center, relatively open with NIP moving in. You've got to guard all sides possible. We don't fall there, which is critical. NIP on your left, Flat on the right, and Nemesis sandwiched between.
The fact that they got that res too. It's the retaliation here with the stack up. Elite now, after clearing up their southern side, they hear this fight, and they're walking up for free unless Shopify have something else to say, but it's up to Team Nemesis to hold their ground on the bottom floor of Clinic. Dory now takes to the sky. Another team that's just trying to make magic happen. Alliance still alive.
Hackis are guiding light on Alliance, rallying the troops via the Wraith portal, trying to get ahead of the collapse on the west.
Oh my gosh.
Going back in time to see what happened to Unlimit. It's Shopify, a firing squad, and Zap with a wingman is disgusting. We lose out on Aku in that time, and Unlucky has fallen. Hackis last alive. Flat have been so powerful, and Havoc out of the hands of Virtus Pro. I'd imagine we're going to be into our top 5 in just a few moments as everyone tries to get out of the West.
Oh my gosh, they're alive. They're actually alive. And the fact that they're I'm seeing like drills everywhere. It's like almost like a flashbang out here. And Shopify having to back away. It gives some room for VP to breathe to get these res as VKG understand the situation. You see more drills, but they're dancing around it. They got the death boxes to their feet. They get the evil shield swaps, and they're trying to give in the suppressed fire to both Shopify and VKG. It's up to Dory, though, who are isolated on this north side that are trailing behind VKG. Trying to mirror this, though, is still that solo that is Alliance in the middle of their rotate. Unfortunately, we lost out on 2, leaving only Hawkins alive. VK Gaming do get eliminated, though. VP, they answer back after they wanted to get aggressive on VKG, who tried to fully send it onto VP.
Still one of the longest rotations is VP and Dory. They'll stare at each other as they go. Flat, Ninjas in Pajamas, and Team Nemesis is also going to be pretty difficult. But a G7 scout in the hands of Katsu.
I was gonna say, Tiff, like the fact that Hawkins is still alive, he actually takes out Shopify by himself.
I mean, working together with Elite Esports, goodbye Shopify. That clears out that side of the circle. I mean, look, we saw Panic get a solo win by just laying low the other day, so I mean, Hackis can do the same on Wraith. For now, Virtus Pro has fully sent over towards Elite Esports as Dory looks to claw their way into the circle from across the way.
Taking a page out of the Mecha Chameleon book. You love to see it.
Nemesis just eats Virtus Pro out of the lobby. And Virtus Pro still needing to grab points. Nemesis, oh my god, we're on 5. They've set their sights.
Hold on. Albert Laley Sacred, they're eating.
Okay.
They're feasting onto Ninjas in Pajamas. 5 squads left. And Nemesis now have to fixate on Elite, who may grief them. By the way, Hawkins is still alive as a solo.
He's portaling.
Where is he gonna go? Hawkins is keeping the dream alive for the rest of Alliance. The crowd gets a little louder while Kinda still gets a followed up knock. He's spinning his attention, Flat being right there, sending out the thermite, but having to be careful with the drill. He takes the portal back, plays right underneath Flat. And Nemesis are so fixated on Elite, you can see Light trying to take it off angle. He hears the portal, and Q's just got the Kraber in hand, but misses out on the next shot.
And Hackis just had to keep portaling back and forth, still alive. An infinite ammo Kraber, you're right, for Flat. They're going to have to connect for everything against Nemesis. And even Elite Esports by themselves on the other side. They've climbed to the top of this series. Yet again, 17-point gap on second place. You see Kinda there getting prepped to have shield swaps all around. Light on the rock. Separated, holding so much of the circle. We know Flat and Nemesis are fighting. That is definitely going to happen. Elite's going to look for a third party if they can, unless something changes.
The fact that Hawkins is still alive, man. You gotta take a look. As Flat now, they zoom in. Nitro Gate ready from Nano, dancing around the Arc Stars. You see the evac.
But they don't have Watson.
Oh, some contention. Was that a kidnap here from the other side? They're dancing, playing Ring Around the Rosie, and they get the knockouts to Nano. What a beautiful kidnap. As Albert Laley from the other side takes advantage. Now Flat down to a duo, but thankfully they're trying to res him, but oh my goodness.
Alb says no, you're not getting them back on the feet. Remain a duo. They've sighted Hawkins, who's still alive. Into the void we go, we dance around, and Sacred pulls another one.
Oh, they get Alliance though.
Flatter down.
Here, so is Flat. 10 KP at the hands of Kinda. He's got to move away though. That drill just taking a chunk out of him. He tries to get the shield off, but now Nemesis looks so good. You talk about the young legends, Sacred versus Kinda, but with their last 2 squads, it's Team Nemesis. They take it away, and they are your Game 3 winners.
A team relying on those explosive games started their comeback just yesterday, and they are continuing to move forward. 14 kills, 5,200 damage throughout that
strong, needed to hit strong, obviously because of the previous group stages, and they're doing exactly that. And I mean, these zone pulls are a little bit crazy, but you know, they kind of cemented a couple of them graceful.
Oh, don't even tell me about the zone pulls. 2 back to back and then 50 meters away. Hell no, we don't want that. However, I would like to say though, NIP for sure managed to pull it back, and this is really what it means to have that past achievement and experience, is that when your back is against the wall, it's either do or die, and they have definitely done well.
They're doing it.
Yeah, I wonder what kind of voodoo rituals they might have been doing before this to get these zone pulls, because we've had, you know, the Sommers and we've had the far right zones, and it is what it is, but it's working out for them. And the thing is, though, they are capitalizing on it, and that's the biggest thing, because a lot of times, you know, we saw them with white armors in a couple of these games. They had SR right next to them with white. I thought they were going to get pushed, but they did well enough to work those armors up, stay in a good spot, and end up getting the KP they needed instead of just the placement points. And we're seeing them sit in a pretty comfortable spot where they shouldn't be in elimination contention anymore with 3 more games to go.
Does it worry you guys, though, that it had to happen in Olympus here for them going into tomorrow? I honestly don't remember what the map it's going to be like, but tomorrow's just going to be one day. You got to be in the top 6. Are they relying too heavily on Olympus tonight?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if Olympus is their best map, they are fortunate that they got to save the best for last. If that is the case, they had 2 rough days, and some people just start tournaments slow. So for them to come out and capitalize and actually take advantage of their best map, because I can't imagine how you'd be feeling if you came out and botched the map that you was supposed to be your best, that you were probably feeling confident going into, and then really feeling the panic set in as it goes on. But overall, I mean, they're doing what they need to do, and they stepped up when they needed to most.
Well, one team that we got to touch base on, because boy, they have been consistent. They have not been relying just on one map. And if you don't know who I'm talking about, no, I'm not talking about RQ, even though they're currently waving their flag. I'm talking about Elite, Graceful, because that squad, I mean, consistent is their middle name.
I mean, really, yeah, what can I say? I said it before, and I said it the series before as well. Undisputedly, the most consistent, I would say, the best team on this land currently, and they're not showing any signs of slowing down, really. What it took was for 3 zones to be in the same area, and even then, they're still staying really consistent. It's absolutely crazy.
It is crazy, and hopefully that's going to continue on whenever they do end up going to the finals, because that's one squad that's definitely going to go to the finals. Well, let's take a look at the match series so far. We have had 3 matches. I want to see where some of the squads are standing, because even the casters were talking about it. We really haven't seen Falcons. I know Falcons doesn't really have to worry about anything, but they might put themselves in that position where they have to worry about not being able to make it directly to the grand finals.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty surprising, because we've seen in the first 2 sets of the group stages that they came out and won game 1.
Yeah.
And their comfort pick and their best character is with the Crypto. And now that they don't have Crypto and they've just been getting, you know, that's banned, and they're starting extremely slow. I mean, they're not even in the first page here. Like you said, they were sitting around the middle of the pack even going into this. So if they don't step it up in the second half, it'd be quite the shocker to not have them in the top 14. But it is starting to get towards that threshold. It'll be interesting to watch that going into this.
I mean, definitely, like you said, coming out with a big win typically starts the ball rolling. In Falcons, opposition has been not really helping them, I would say. Sometimes that's really what you have to do, is that you have to get some points on the board. So far, 7. That's not nearly enough, and something we definitely we're not used to seeing out of them. But so far, though, this tournament has been a little bit of a slow starter. But once again, one of these teams, Falcons included, if they make it past here, not seeing them in finals would be very shocking.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, if we pivot down to RRQ, who were just in top 10 and now not performing, they're going to get overtaken, and if not have already. So they need to do something within these last 3 games, because they might lose their top spot to, like, you know, someone keeping consistency like Elite, but Team Nemesis are now coming up and they want that spot, so they're going to be really, really careful.
You started talking about RRQ.
Yeah.
And one of our amazing analysts was just shaking his head. Snipe, why were you shaking your head so much when it comes to Team RRQ?
Dude, I want this team to succeed so bad, because they have so much history and they've been so close many times. And, you know, they had a great day 1. They came out strong. They finished in the top 3 in day 1, and then it's just, you look at their pro league placements, it's top 3 or bottom 5. And it's just, you know, there's got to find some balance to get in the middle of the pack, and for them to be at the very bottom here, it's disappointing for a team that has so much history and so much success to still, you know, finding struggles in this game.
I mean, as the crowd starts hyping up behind us, I can't help but want to jump into them and join them, honestly. But I would like to just add on to that specifically about RRQ. They've been looking really passive, I would say, as of lately. And And when you're being passive, you're not being proactive enough. If you're not being proactive enough, you let the game play you, and you can really see that in their gameplay right now. They're not really in control a lot of the time.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of these teams that haven't been in this spot. We have the Nemesises that look like they're taking advantage of what they're given. Even Flat coming out and having very good matches, getting high kills on the board. And it just, you know, when it comes down to this final lobby, when you have to step up, the teams that are making the first move, you always want to be the team on the aggression rather than the team that's on your back foot, or else you're more of a reactive team. And the teams that are the proactive ones are the ones that are going to have more success because they're on the same page and they're not waiting for the game to come to them.
Yep.
And I think that RQ is unfortunately letting the game happen in front of them while other teams are making something.
Sorry, Snipe, I stirred him up a little bit more. My apologies.
Yeah,
Great analysis, though.
I mean, they were right there. I was scared too.
I think they wanted me to stop talking.
The
That's what
guts it takes to say all that. I love
dare
it.
Snipe say
But this is
that.
currently the overall ranking, what it's looking like so far today. Only 3 games have been played. We still have 9 more matches to come. 6 more with the other groups. But right now, I mean, Elite, I don't...
Bro, he's almost doubling everybody's point.
So you know what? Let's go to the next page. Let's see where everybody else is currently at. A Limit did end up getting a win today. That pushes them up nicely. Team Falcons, I mean, we're worried about them. They're in 10th place. They're going to be getting closer and closer to the 14th place. Don't forget those other teams from the other groups will be coming up. And there you had it. RRQ in 11th place, Lace.
I mean, you know, they're still in that top 14 sort of bracket in a sense, but yeah, this is where I mean they have to be incredibly careful because if you know, you just look between those numbers down there, we've got Ninjas in Pajamas who are sort of fighting their way through as well, so they need to be incredibly careful, and these last 3 games are super important for them because they're quite close, but look, if they can just even get those 2 matches in there, they probably might be a little bit better than some of those other teams, but it's close, Grace.
Yeah, we got a quick, just a heads up. Alliance being able to move up too. Are you happy with what you've seen today out of Alliance?
I mean, it's signs of life, and that's the most important part, is that they haven't given up, and that's the real thing. Sometimes they just, when you had 2 bad back-to-back days, some people give up, and that's how you go out of the tournament. Alliance shown that they, hey, we're still here to play, still showing up as much as we can, and if they just keep this up for now, the remainder of the games, they're at least gonna move on to the next stage, and over there, I have faith in them.
Okay, well, hey, I know they're going to be playing later. Aurora right now in that 34th place. We didn't see NIP anywhere near that because of the performance that they have had. Let's see if NIP or maybe RRQ can start putting up some points on the board as we're going to be going to Dan in onset.
Thank you so much. It's time for these games to keep on rolling. We're back on the stage here, and we got 3 more matches to go before we unfortunately have to send a couple of teams home potentially here, Dan Gaskin. Scary times for some of the big names on our stage.
Yeah, a little bit concerning, especially for one team in particular, being Dory, one of the teams that are within the bottom 6 at the moment. So if they do not get out of said bottom 6, eliminated today right here in this set. But then we start to look ahead, you know, what teams are going to be kind of in that bubble and close to elimination, biting their nails as we go into the next set.
And of course, we're changing map again. We're back over to Storm Point here. So 3 more matches to go before the series is done and dusted. This is the POI draft as we take a look at some of our big hitters here. Number 1, Wolves. They took Zeus Station. Number 2, Ninjas in Pajamas. A great draft for them.
Really good, great. It is a fantastic draft for them indeed. But some of the teams I've been looking at as the highest performing Storm Point teams at this tournament so far: Kinatrope Club, Elite Esports, that sounds pretty good for them, and RRQ, of course. So for Elite Esports, right, if they're going to find as much points as they did at Launchpad, which exactly the same POI they had last time we saw them on Storm Point here in this tournament, perhaps we are going to look at yet another victorious situation for them.
Well, just to remind everybody, what's at stake here? Top 14, when the group stage is done, we'll go directly into our match point finals. The bottom 6, when all is said and done on our group stage, will be going home. The rest of the teams will go through to our survival stage tomorrow, where they will fight out to get into our match point finals. But it's time for the end of the talking and the start of the gun shooting, because it looks like we're almost ready to get into Storm Point here. Only 3 more matches here, Dan, for teams to solidify where they're going to be.
And interestingly, for Elite Esports, they have a chance to set records here as well. They could be the first ever team to win every single group stage set that they are involved with. We have not seen that ever. We have seen teams come close. Alliance, Dark Zero were able to get 2 out of 3 sets, for example, but they are on course for setting and breaking records right now.
Yeah, ridiculous stats from them. Really, really impressive stuff. And just to put into context something extra, of course, that's very impressive, being number 1, if you go out the group stages straight into that grand final, you're going to have the first pick in the POI draft as well. So you're going to have your pick of the litter when it comes to where you're going to be playing from in that match point finals. That is a huge, huge advantage for them.
Yeah, especially when you look at how some of these POIs have benefited teams as well, with the amount of points average they've been able to put on the board. You look at certain POIs like Zeus Station, for example, has had the most wins so far on Storm Point. Could that be something that you start to look towards? Do you start to transition towards another map, for example?
Maybe Humber Labs on Olympus might be quite good from what we've seen so far today. Certainly would be nice to see that one pop up if you do decide to go with Humber and see the zones that we've seen continuously so far this morning here. But yeah, it's another thing to keep in mind. You know, POI draft's so influential as to how these teams are going to perform when we get to those match point finals. But that's a long way away still. You've got to get there. You've got to make sure you're in that finals lobby. And the top 14, like we mentioned at the end of the group stages, will be the teams who go through directly.
One team on this graphic I want to point out, RRQ over towards Mill. Interestingly, Mill has been the worst performing POI on Storm Point so far this tournament. And RRQ are a team who typically have been one of our best Storm Point performing teams. So I'm curious how those statistics go up against each other. When you get a good Storm Point team and a bad POI, does it average out in the middle? Or do we see them start to lose points because of the POI they're going from?
Yeah, going to be interesting to see how that story develops. Sentinels, no surprise to see them bang center map. They're going to be playing from Jurassic. The world champions are in the lobby and looking to solidify a spot in our match point finals. The game is live, everybody, here in Paris. EWC continues. The Split 1 playoffs continues. And it's time for us to get these 3 matches underway.
I think there's so many developing stories into this next 3 matches as well. When we were looking at the start of the series, Ninjas in Pajamas, for example, we were saying, can they survive elimination? Can they make sure they at least get into the survival stages? Now, if we see Ninjas in Pajamas have 3 incredible matches, we're starting to say, could they do enough to get into match point finals if they have 3 good matches in a row here?
Yeah, it still is quite close for a lot of those spots just outside of the top 14. And of course, you want to be in there, but just jumping yourself up a few extra places can be very nice when it comes to that POI draft. Looking at where the zone is going to be going, though. Good news for Reject and VK Gaming, because we are going north of Cascade Falls by the looks of things.
Of course, Maggie was banned from that match 3 as well, so we won't see Maggie, Sia, or Crypto into match 4. The good news is Watson survives. I know there was a few teams that were a little bit taken aback yesterday when Watson somehow was banned over Maggie. It kind of ruined their plans a little bit. But it's going to be plenty of Valkyrie as we move over to Storm Point. Typically, we have seen that already this tournament and in scrims as well. Very important.
This is going to be a tough zone if you're late to arrive. Now, the fact that we do have some Gibraltars and some baby comps, like you mentioned, with the Valkyrie picks starting to upsurge, means that late landings are an option. You have that option of the bubble from the Gibraltar, also the castle wall from the Newcastle to solidify a spot. It's one of those, it's like we saw yesterday in a couple of those match 4s where we've gone to a few zones with not a lot of natural cover, but the fact that where we are in the bands means the compositions are kind of leading to be able to make it a little bit more playable.
So for Shopify Rebellion, 17 points on the board, which, you know, is not too bad when you have to play with a substitute. Not the worst substitute in the world to be adding to yourself. And of course, a lot of history between these 2 players as well. But for Elite, 53 points. They look like an unstoppable force at the moment on set. And I'm curious as to see whether they do slow down here on Storm Point. It would be maybe making everyone else in the lobby feel a little bit better if they do start to drop off. But right now, they look like hot tournament contenders.
That Spider's made his way a little bit further than I think anyone expected. We wanted to say hello to Elite Esports, maybe congratulate them on their performance so far today. Shopify Rebellion, we just see potentially mirroring their rotation at the moment. Ninjas in Pajamas, they're just down to the south of Stormcatcher at the moment, just clearing out the spider cave of their own to get those Evas up, get extra attachments to make their way towards zone. It's been a good comeback from them today. Yesterday was not a good day, but the work that's been done overnight, whether it was better rest, better nutrition, or maybe a word in the ear from Coach Raven, they've come out to play today and looked a lot more like the Ninjas in Pajamas we expected to see.
I mean, just to give you an idea of how far NIP are behind those top 14 qualification spots, they are only 9 points behind them at the moment. And sure, we do have 2 more groups competing, so you have to bear that in mind. There will be teams playing catch-up, but it just shows how good they have been today comparatively to how they were prior.
But just looking at zone at the moment, there's not going to really be a huge amount of options to rotate early, just based upon where this zone is going to be going. So you're going to see a lot more teams playing a slower game, especially when we do mention there's a lot of Valkyrie in the lobby. There's no need to really arrive as early as when Valkyrie isn't in the composition, or maybe when the zone is a little bit more favorable to some natural buildings and cover. The teams who are in zone at the moment, VK, we mentioned they had a quick rotate. Wolves Esports, RRQ are there. Kurasami Havoc and Team Nemesis are already inside the zone. Unlimited, who we're watching right now, are down on the south side, and they're chasing down Sentinels. A couple of these Sentinel shots are connecting. Monsoon's actually going to have to use that castle wall to jump back to the safety of his teammates. Was a little bit split from them there.
Sentinels, who interestingly, they sit in that 14th position at the moment, do Sentinels. They are the current cutoff for those finals qualification positions, but right now, it looks like they are going to struggle to get any further in this game. 2 are going to go down. Is there one remaining player to survive and maybe keep their chances here, as Sito Station is going to be the escape route for the last remaining.
Yeah, Blinks managed to just about get out, but resetting is another question. There is actually a crafter at Sito Station if he wants to try and hit that. Flat going to be moving from Mill, so the exit plan is a little bit shaky for them. Elite, they're going to take to the skies now. The first Valcult that we're going to see on our screens. And from the looks of where they're looking to rotate, it may be potentially towards where Dory find themselves. This could be a little interaction they're not expecting, but the scan from Valkyrie will give them that information. Now, Dory do not look particularly healthy when it comes to armors, and I wonder if Elite will be thinking, hey, we might be able to pick up a couple of KP here.
And Dory do not look particularly healthy when it comes to those leaderboards as well. This is essentially the first team against one of our last teams at the moment in those overalls, if the engagement does happen. So just by how both these teams have been playing, this could be a whitewash.
Yeah, Katsu King. A little bit of help comes from a distance, but Light should be able to finish this one off pretty quickly. He's completely separated from the rest of the team, but oh my. Hold on a minute. Here come the cavalry. And Dory need this more than anyone in the lobby. Light is left on his own, and Elite, who have been so good, have thrown it away. Overconfidence, maybe? Or the rest of Dory arriving just in the nick of time.
I mean, insane. Dory have done little to nothing so far this series, and to do that against a team who is just hot off the press right now, like you mentioned, it was way more important for them than it was for Elite. Elite, they're already going to be in the finals. I think we already know that. 191 points.
Should be enough, you
we
would
will
imagine.
be seeing them in match point finals, but as I mentioned earlier, Dory, they are still down in those elimination places right now.
That was an interesting one to watch back. I think of all the legends you maybe want to think you could pick off quickly, Newcastle the most frustrating, just playing behind that mobile shield. Just bought enough time for the rest of Dory to arrive. Another team who's been quiet so far today is on your screen right now, Team Falcons. And it's Ninjas in Pajamas who are looking to get aggressive on them. There's a big armor differential between the two teams, and Cole is going to get at least an armor checker once. 60, 120 damage from the longbow of the POV we're watching.
So a lot of these teams trying to rotate uphill at the moment, just getting caught in the backside, and sadly not able to continue their journey because you are so vulnerable when you start to march upward. It looks like Falcons have been able to call somewhere home for now, but yeah, there you go. You have to utilize Valkyrie. They probably didn't want to pop the Valcult that early, but they can't afford to be sitting around because there's going to be so many teams in that area to pick them off.
Do not get pinched. Essentially the secret of Apex Legends at the very top level, and Falcons recognizing they were in that situation. They throw down the dome, they get the Valcult and the Skyward Dive activated, and they get out of dodge. The team who's not doing that right now is Unlimit, because Alonzi is flying in off the back of the grapple on Pathfinder. Peace, he's going to be put back to sleep. We saw him looking a little bit dozy earlier on today before the games got underway. One member of Unlimit still alive somewhere around here, and you can see that they're hunting him down right now, Team Heretics.
Yeah, they're having a look, but actually he's been able to get extremely far across the map. I think there was an early commitment to retreating from that fight, and the rest of the squad said, look, we'll just hold down the fort and you go on your way. So zone-wise, we're going to continue moving a little bit further north. The building you were mentioning earlier that Wolves Esports currently reside in looks very pretty right now, and I'm sure some would like to try and take it away from them. And look at that from Dory. After taking that fight initially against the lobby leaders Elite, now they found themselves up towards the command center or on the western side of it, and actually this could be a fantastic place to hold.
Yeah, really good spot for Dory to hold outside of command center. As long as they can watch their backs and nobody wraps them late in the game, they will have a height advantage. They'll be able to watch everything coming through that spider cave, and if anyone starts to arrive in the multiple buildings that are held currently by Wolves Esports, well, they're going to have some really good angles to pick off some of those late Val-ulting teams in. On Limit, Stevie's done a great job to escape, like you mentioned, but he's going to have to look for a reset here, and it's looking like a tough game for them.
It's going to be tough for a lot of these later rivals. There is an interesting development happening on the south as well between Falcons and Shopify Rebellion, but looks like they're going to back off away from each other now. I think all of these teams don't really want to engage because they know the bigger picture is just trying to get to this late end game. And perhaps once they get there and realize that Cascade Falls has got an absolute blockade there, they might start committing to a few more fights and engagements just to try and put points on the board.
Just a little bit of a replay of the fight that we saw between Unlimit and Team Heretics, as we also see essentially the fast forward of what is the reset on the live screen on the left-hand side. Stevie has managed to get the res, but he's being pushed right now by Team Heretics, but he's putting out a huge amount of damage and might be able to even up the numbers before his teammates drop here. Alonzi will fall, and this is part 2, Heretics versus Unlimit again.
Bubble goes down. You could opt to go for the rev. I like this. Get the revive. Make sure you get back up to a full 3 so you can actually compete properly. The bubble from Gibby now is just such a difficult thing to try and pierce.
The difficulty for Unlimit is 2 of them aren't really going to have abilities, considering they've just come out of that dropship. Alonzi has gone down again, though. And with the noise that's being created, a lot of teams are starting to just maneuver towards where this battle is taking place. Unlimit still looking to be aggressive onto this one. Team Heretics just trying to dance around the bubble. Jans being the one inside of it. The R9 spray is good, but Yolari Man is better! And Team Heretics pay for the push onto Unlimit.
The Shopify Rebellion now in the area, potentially trying to pick up the pieces and the scraps that have been left behind. Can Unlimit go unseen, unnoticed, as they try and hide away? But Shopify Rebellion, they are trying to sniff them out. You can see they are above, like a hound looking for a rabbit at the moment, as RRQ also on the outside of this fight.
Shopify just going to elect to play this high ground. Very smart not to drop. You're always going to be stunned upon that drop unless you're playing certain legends, which they certainly aren't. And it would be easy shots for Unlimit, who will get the full reset. Shopify now controlling the respawn hill by the waterfall. And Unlimit are going to be tucked in underneath. Now, both teams will have to leave. You can see the zone has pulled away continually. One team who's managed to get right inside of zone, by the way, nestled up alongside Wolves Esports is Alliance. Very good rotation from them. They're there early as we take our attention away from zone over to NIP and VK Gaming.
VKG will hold their fort. They deny NIP, who I think were just looking for somewhere to call home, but that's going to be go time. You get that first knock, and VKG is sending it.
Well, Vane's trying to get a ball out, trying to get the rest of his team away, but it's only going to go so far, and Castle with that triple take in his hands. He's looking to peek and looking to see if they can capitalize on that knock. So Vane's done a fantastic job actually to get Kolb out of that situation and at least allow Ninjas in Pajamas a chance to reset here.
I don't think enough is said sometimes about how well some of these teams survive and also use their abilities to help teammates get out of certain situations, whether they're knocked or not. As now Team Falcons have actually been able to surpass a lot of the congestion that we saw at Cascade Falls and are going to continue on their journey. I think they used a lot of the noise that was happening elsewhere as a little bit of a distraction here, and now they can play under the bridge for now.
Elsewhere in Cascade, you can see Shopify Rebellion up on the high ground. This is where the zone is going to be ending, though. This is the compound at the top of the cannon and at the bottom of the zip line, depending on how you want to look at it. Wolves were here early. They had a great early rotation from Cascades. Alliance joined them very soon after. Now it's about looking to the skies. All of these teams later on will be hitting those Valkyries to try and play the roofs, try and play some of the staircases underneath. If you could control the space and force teams away, Wolves' chances of winning this game go up significantly. That bubble's going to save RC. No Name decides there's no need to push this.
You look at some of these fights, you're like, without a bubble, they are completely dead there. But without a bubble, you probably don't Valkyrie to that point either. But you are going to see now Wolves just back off and say, all right, we weren't able to take them out on landing, as Virtus Pro will get eliminated on their push.
Yeah, we're going to see a few teams start to get eliminated on this southern side. Flat are going to be the next out of the lobby. Sentinels, who managed to reset thanks to Blinkster, are going to be safe inside of Cascade. Elsewhere, look at the zone. Alliance starting to do a little bit of work. Gen G were arriving. Ninjas in Pajamas are saying goodbye. They've just been eliminated down on that southern side. A tough rotate for them, but having had to leave that fight with VKG a little bit earlier down on that south side, as Unlimit, who are back in that game, having won that important fight on the respawn, now look to move forward. Rejects have just been eliminated in the meantime.
They might get sandwiched here, though, because Team Nemesis are on the other side of it. You've got RRQ on one, Nemesis on the other. Gen G just fell out of the lobby at the same time, but it would be very impressive if Unlimit get out of this unscathed.
Yalari man getting peeked, getting prodded. Pricey looking to pinch. It's interesting to see the POV of Pricey a little bit earlier on one of those games on Olympus. And he went down as the final player alive. Just complete frustration being shown by him. He knows how much a couple of points can make the difference when it comes to the final standings at the end of this group stage. 44 seconds until they have to move. Monsoon is down here, but he's got the castle wall down at least. They should be able to drag him back to his feet.
God, this is a brave position to try and hold, but Alliance want to deny it. They know what a threat Sentinels would be here, but are they going to get the chance to, or can Sentinels hold on? 2 are now down. And sadly, I think it's about to be the beginning of the end for Sentinels unless one player can escape, which again, one has been able to get out of this corner.
It's Blixer again. I wonder if it was a Valcolt up into the skies, or maybe he just skimmed around the edges of the problems. Unlimited have just been eliminated down on that southern side. They weren't able to survive. Blixer is redefining what it means to survive so far in this game.
Alliance just went up in the overalls into the top 20 now. They also are starting to look towards that top 14. A couple of wins on the board here, and Alliance, you know, maybe they do the unthinkable today at pushing themselves into those final positions. But of course, we're going to have to wait to see what happens in those remaining games. Now it's starting to get interesting down on this southeastern side here.
Kurosame having been eliminated. Sentinels will finally fall. Unlucky sniffs out Blixer with that Mastiff and puts him in the dirt. So Alliance picking up KP and starting to pick up a little bit of form and momentum. A little bit earlier today, we saw them looking much better than they did yesterday. Nemesis up on this high ground. They've got the castle wall down, but they're going to have to take a lot of fire from a lot of teams surrounding them.
It's amazing how some of these teams have been able to find themselves in this kind of position as well. And again, it's down to that baby comp. It's down to the Gibraltar. Now with a Kraber for Skittle Cakes, can they just dominate the high ground here?
Not just the Kraber, unlimited ammo in it as well. So he's going to be able to fire so many rounds, as many as he wants, onto the teams that are surrounding. That's going to make that position on the high ground much easier to fortify. You don't want to peek a team with the Kraber ever. And being able to rattle off shots with that unlimited ammo makes it even more scary for the team surrounding.
Well, interestingly, this building we're looking at now is not going to be in the next zone. We're actually transitioning back towards the Alliance building. So only Alliance and Falcons are within the next zone. So everyone else is going to have to move in together.
Skill Cakes with that Kraber. Wolves actually try and bubble up onto the height to see if they can get a knock, but Skill Cakes hits a big shot and forces them back down.
Skill Cakes actually hit the shot onto VK Gaming, who are down on the southeast. He's just looking at anyone who he might be able to pick a shot off and see if he can disrupt their plan. Because VK holding the south, Shopify Rebellion not too far away from them. 20 seconds until this zone now closes. And even though Nemesis are looking and trying to disrupt a little bit, they have to focus on what's happening at the task at hand of this building.
They do have the gen down, which is going to make survivability a little bit better, but look at the damage being output here by Wolves. Skill Cakes goes for the no-scope. He had no other option. Sacred, you've got to go huge for your team here. Maybe able to get an armor swap to survive a few extra seconds. But 10 squads might become 9 in a few moments' time if Sacred cannot survive.
It's a good opportunity to get extra placement points, though. Even as an individual, we still have 10 squads, but we're probably going to lose 4 or 5 just in this next zone, as there's not much space to play. As now Wolves, they're trying to find that last remaining player, but Sacred looks like he's avoided the gunfire for now, as Wolves step up to try and take the high ground.
Dory will land from that height. So we see how Nemesis initially took this position away on the replay. RRQ on the bottom left of your screen live though. Infinite Ammo L-Star in the hands of Easy Flash, and they're getting pushed here by GK, and they're taking a lot of damage. They are getting absolutely peppered by the defensive bombardment. The Gibby out hurts.
It takes us down to 9, and suddenly this building that everyone was trying to play initially over towards the cannon becomes very enticing, as Falcons also have found a spot to call home. And I thought we were going to lose more, but everyone respecting their neighbors at the moment and knowing if you commit to a fight, you risk potentially throwing things away. Nemesis back up to a 2. They were able to get a res.
Sacred's doing everything he can in this game. Of course, the winners of the previous game, that's going to build some confidence, but Wolves, they want the smoke. Nemesis are eliminated. No Name back to his feet. A pat on the back and a thank you very much. As Falcons now on that south side have to be careful. They've used that bubble and they're being bubbled up on. GK trying to poke. Gil with the R9 does a great job to hold here.
You had to have someone hold aggressively because otherwise they were just going to press up easily. Dory will get eliminated, but it's a brilliant game for them that they very much needed. Alliance are still holding their building, by the way, not allowing anyone to take it off them.
Yeah, Alliance are cooking at the moment. They've got multiple kills already in this game. As Falcons in a little bit of a pinch. Wolves will be eliminated next. QQ gets the final knock onto Went. And that's going to mean the lobby starts to thin out even more here. Back to the high ground. VKG still controlling it. Boy, did they need a game.
Falcons are probably wondering why GK are putting so much pressure onto them, but GK are worried that Falcons are going to wrap and then take their position away, so that's why they're applying said pressure. Shopify Rebellions now start to move up a little bit as well, closer towards the Alliance territory they've been claiming for so long.
The Shopify spot is going to be safest for longest. GK, by the way, they've hit a Valcold. And now Shopify's position might not be one of the best in zone. The lay of the land is known by GK. They know where everybody on the map is, and they are playing the side of zone where nobody finds themselves.
Falcons still aware of them, though, and their focus very much is on GK right now. Kinnetrope Club are the one team that could really affect how that entire southern fight goes down if they try to drop a little bit earlier than maybe intended.
They'll queue up on this high ground, R9 in the hands, trying to find a little bit of damage onto the Valcolt down from the low ground. It's Shopify Rebellion who choose to take to the skies this time. Falcons still playing that corner. But what is the next play for them? Option to bubble out as Alliance start to peek the other side of the cannon where Kinnetrope find themselves.
Zone is going to end on the lower ground as well. It's going to pull away from the cannon, so both Shopify and GK, they are close.
BKG taking damage. Hackis finds one with the Mastiff. Waltzy's having to drag Falcons members back to their feet on this low ground as Unlucky continues his warpath in this game. He's got 6 kills already in this game. Unlucky taking the game on his back. It's 7 as Alliance continue to wipe in these bubble fights.
A question was asked of Alliance yesterday, and today it is being answered. They're into the top 4. It's about to be the top 3. Can they go all the way?
Kinnetrope gone, 3 squads remaining. Alliance damaging GK down on this low ground. They've got a huge advantage here. Even with both bubbles down, Falcons will fall. Unlucky will peak. Unlucky will poke. And Alliance will be your champions.
Alliance put themselves up into the top 8 of the overalls with that win. They were on the brink of elimination coming into today, but now, just as we expected, when you start to count them out, they rise once more. And they look like the Alliance of old. They've got through the worries and the troubles of those first 2 days. And if they keep this rolling, they may just secure their spot in match point finals.
Long live Alliance. Never count them out. These boys thrive on pressure when their backs are against the wall. We've seen it through the years. They come up with something special. Today they've come to play, and they're making you eat your words.
They are indeed, and boy am I happy to. They taste great. Such a well-played game from Alliance. They had that building for so long, and it was how they denied anyone trying to take it away from them. And the Alliance fans quite rightly delighted, and I'm sure relieved with the performance we've seen so far today. And like I said, they still have 2 more matches here on set.
So no Valkolts available for our teams.
Which happened last time we had Storm Point as well. Dynamic now going into match 5. A lot of the early rotations are going to be so important now, reading that zone and getting into a position and holding just like Alliance did. But look at those stats from Unlucky, stepping up when they needed him most.
Yeah, 4.5k damage. That is pretty darn good. Let me tell you that. That's pretty rare that you do that on the big stage. 11 kills. Saw 13 knockdowns as well, so get involved in all of the scuffles surrounding that building that Alliance got to quickly and making the most of it. But now that's history. We head in towards match number 5 here between Group B and C. And just a reminder, top 14, when the group stage is done, will go directly to our match point finals. But if you are in that bottom 6, unfortunately, you're eliminated from the tournament.
And that key will get crushed as well. We will definitely be seeing some keys getting crushed after today's competition, but we might have one team potentially eliminated after these groups play each other. Dory are still in the bottom 6 at the moment, but they did give themselves a chance after that game. They are currently 7 points now off, it would seem. No, wow, it's a little bit more than that. It is 15 points they are away from the elimination position, so they still need to keep going here into 5 and 6.
I'm sure they're keeping their eyes on that points tally as well, seeing and knowing what they have to do in these final 2 games to save their tournament, where it looks like the players are moving. They're out the dropships. We're heading back into Storm Point here. Match number 5 is live.
Locked and loaded, and where are we going to be heading? Because as we were mentioning, you have to move pretty fast here if you're a zone team. You don't have that fallback of a Valkyrie ultimate now. The Skyward Dive is not going to save your bacon, and that means composition-wise, we change everything. We're starting to see various different ways of movement.
Well, the first topic of conversation is always, how are you doing, Dan? You good?
Really good, actually. Yeah, a bit hot.
After that one, it's always, where's the zone going? And we are heading up towards Team Falcons by the looks of things. Elrod, Stormcatcher certainly involved, but historically we do usually see the pull up to the north. Falcons just checking if they've got a ring console. Yes, they do indeed. So good news for Team Falcons fans.
And this is a really good opportunity for Falcons to put points on the board and solidify their spot at the moment in those match point finals positions. Because even though they have been relatively quiet, they are still 6th in the overalls, which is nothing to be sniffed at, that's for sure. Other teams that are going to be close to be able to move fast, and teams that need points, Ninjas in Pajamas, of course. Even though they are in a better position than they were, we haven't seen them have that pop-off game like Alliance have had just yet. So they still find themselves in 21st, only 25 points ahead of that cutoff, which sounds like a lot, but you've got to remember there are still 6 matches to be played from other teams, so you do want to increase that a little bit.
Well, this is Dory. This is the team who really do have the most on the line in the last 2 games. You mentioned, when we look at the standings, they are currently inside of that bottom 6. Now, they need to be outside of that bottom 6 come the end of these games to even have a chance at surviving in this tournament. Of course, we have the other groups to play a little bit later on today, so they will have to watch and hope from the sidelines, but you got to put it in your own hands. Big games from Dory gives themselves a lifeline.
And that's the thing, you can get out of that bottom 6 and be 1 point ahead, but then all it takes is 2 of those teams in the bottom 6 getting 2 points, which is very easy to achieve. So you have to try and put yourself with as much distance as possible. And the first game that we've just seen from them in match 4 since we've been casting, they looked pretty good. They had an incredible fight against Elite. They need more of that, more of the same.
The Ninjas in Pajamas have made their move, as have Wolves Esports. They came all the way from Zeus Station, which I say all the way, not particularly far. A hop, skip, and a jump when we talk about POIs being close to each other, and they're going to play the rock formation with their backs clear. Now, the good news for these teams who are here early is they won't have to look to the skies in this game. We mentioned the Valkyrie ban means that it's a more linear game for them. The skies will be empty unless there's a few evac towers coming a little bit later on. But for Wolves, this is going to be a really, really good spot that they should be able to last quite some time in this game.
There's going to be a few very difficult rotations for teams as well with the choke points that are going to be available. So if you can hold some of the areas, whether it be on that far eastern side or, of course, the middle route from Stormcatcher to Lightning Rod, there's a real opportunity of picking up KP as well. Not necessarily game-winning positions, but certainly ones where you might be able to find points.
Well, VKG in a really good spot as well. They're holding the building which has the survey beacon on in Lightning Rod. Unlimit, they've got a little bit more of a difficult way to go. There's the... they need to release a Yulari Man alternator skin. I'm just going to say that. He, for me, when you talk about like players historically, when I think of weapons, how R99, for example, Kraber, 0. Yulari Man, alternator. Release the skin.
Or else.
I have no leverage, by the way.
No,
absolutely 0.
Probably more than me.
In fact, it's probably further away than it's ever been after I've just mentioned it.
But all of these teams starting to descend onto Lightning Rod now. A heavy commitment to this northeastern POI. There are going to be some teams that are going to be north of Lightning Rod that are going to go for a little bit of a late rotation, one of those being Alliance. And I'm wondering whether anyone tries to position themselves in the kind of tunnels on the western side of Lightning Rod as well. If you can set up shop there again, it's another one of those choke points. You might just be able to find some KP.
Still thinking of weapons. I was going to say Monsoon,
Sentinel.
Peacekeeper or Sentinel. And of course our good friend Jumba, Mastiff.
What Jumba did on that day.
Hey, let's not talk about that. Let's not give him any more love than he needs. Mishi Jumba. Well, Team Heretics, they're a long way away from zone at the moment. They're over at Pylon, hitting Ring Console and Survey Beacon. They've also got Evo Harvester just to their north. So it seems like the path to purple is what they're on right now. They do have an interesting composition here. Pathfinder is going to be their rotational character here with that zip line. Gibraltar and Newcastle, of course, for a little bit more stability when they do get to the spot that they want to play.
I think Shopify Rebellion might have heard Team Heretics here as well. They're certainly moving towards them at quite some pace. They also might be trying to hit information as well and Evo. But I think we're about to see a clash between Shopify Rebellion and Heretics. Yeah, they finally got eyes on them. And I'm assuming Shopify Rebellion still IGL by Zainu, even with Phony come in, who typically is an IGL himself.
That'd be brash.
It would
Phony.
be.
I'll play if I can IGL.
Well, it's quite funny because he did used to IGL Zainu.
True.
There's a lot of history, let's put it that way, between these players, but I'm sure they'll be extremely thankful that Phony has come in. And look, we even had a player picture ready for him. It's like he did Media Day for another team. He's just been passed around here.
Passed around.
Does he want to cast?
Love to have him in the booth.
I actually would.
Well, good news for everyone as well. Saw Koifu tweet a little bit earlier saying he's feeling much better. So
that is great news.
We will see him back for the rest of the tournament. I'm sure Shopify would love him back. We certainly would love to see him competing once more. This is where the zone is going. You can see it's going to be an interesting one. I wonder if Shopify were moving towards Pylon for the next bit of information. Great zone read coming in from Team Falcons, though, I will say, and Wolves Esports. Off the back of that first Ring Console that they got, the second zone, they are in prime position now to be involved in this end game. And this is another one. It's a really, really tough zone. You've got to see a lot of teams kind of build up around where Reject, Sentinels, Alliance are flying into right now, because this is the only real building playable space. Everywhere else is just open ground and rock formations. Falcon's job is to hold off the likes of Alliance, who are going to land here in one of those rock formations, because they will be able to peek down onto them. But that's just great game knowledge coming in from Hackers. What spots are playable and what spots aren't? Be careful here, Unlucky. That bubble's going to be up for long enough to get him to pop the battery before he gets that castle wall down.
And look at this composition that Alliance are running as well, by the way. So they don't have that same information that everyone does from Ring Console, Survey Beacons, etc. So instead, they've just brute forced it.
Asia. Oh, that Prowler! That made things interesting. Dexter now left on his own, though. Unlimit still with 2 on their feet, and Team Heretics are coming in to try and look at this one. The Fuse using that knuckle cluster to get a little bit further than he used to be able to back in the day, to escape some of the danger incoming. Team Heretics with the perfect third-party opportunity.
Two teams are in pretty similar positions in those overall standings as well. Heretics down in 28th, Gen G in 26th. Both somewhat vulnerable to elimination, I would say, in their current points total. So you want to be adding a little bit more and accumulating some of those points so that you can get further away from said elimination spots and make it a little bit more difficult for the chasing pack. Because even though we assume the bigger teams are going to be getting the points and those in the bottom 6 will be getting less, there's always that what if. Suddenly those teams in the bottom 6, all of them start to perform and find wins.
Well, Peace is alive.
And he says, peace.
I was going to say, he's certainly not thriving at this point, but being on Fuse makes it a little bit more fun to be playing on your own, I will say. Does have the option of the Crafter next to him, but it looks like Gen G are trying to think something similar. I think Unlimit and the piece are deciding that maybe this Crafter is looking a bit busier than I wanted it to, so they are scarpering away out there, trying to just survive.
And luckily for Gen G, Heretic's attention on Limit. As Gen G, I think, were able to hit said Crafter. So perhaps we'll see them back into the map. As now all these teams that have been able to find their way over closer towards Lightning Rod are now starting to realize that they're not going to be alone. It's going to be an unnervy time going into the next zone. Heretic's going to head back down south.
I think they're just hitting a survey beacon.
So it has to be a survey beacon.
You see the Flat have just lost 2 by the looks of things down in that spider cave. And in fact, they're up on the high ground. The last player alive is taken down. Flat are eliminated, and Nemesis, we're 3rd in this group at the moment, after that win that we saw a little bit earlier on Olympus. Pick up a couple of easy KP here.
Another team that's currently in the top 6 as well in the overall standings. Nemesis looking good for match point finals as it stands. But in this game, I feel like they need an evac tower to probably reposition, because if they try and brute force it through Lightning Rod, not necessarily going to go well.
Yeah, the only real option is the zip line, but that's going to be risky with the amount of teams that are going to be in front of them, and where do you go to is the real question. We can see on our map overhead, very, very busy, as you would expect, in and around that zone. RRQ playing underneath the cannon here. Just to the south of Elrod here. Sentinels bubbling up to get a little bit of loot here. It's going to be a little bit quiet here, as everybody outside of Gen G and Unlimit, by the way, who both have respawned and got back to a full 3, are inside of the zone. Heretics are going to have a mythic bin just pop up as well, just to keep you abreast of everything that is going down. But with that zone pull, now everyone is going to know where they have to go. And all of a sudden, everyone was in zone. And as you can see on the map overhead, not a lot of people are.
And you mentioned Falcons and Wolves. They called this one early. NIP have done very well with their position. And Alliance on their late arrival. They would have liked where Falcons were. I think we had this similar read from Hackis that Hal had. But then he saw it was already taken. But the benefit of being where Alliance are over Falcons is the potential for KP, similarly to what Alliance had done in the previous. A lot of people are going to try and take that position away from them. But this is the unfortunate side of the zone at the moment, this western side. No one is really going to enjoy this route through. I think Gen G have been able to get out of the eyesight of Heretics here.
This is the 3-team dance that's been going on, kind of a mini-game. Team Heretics, Gen G, and Unlimit, and they're still all very close to each other at the moment. Team Heretics still have a long way to go. I think they've just given up on trying to hold out Gen G because of the time that they've got left on this zone. Speaking of time, it looks like Shopify Rebellion, they've got to buy some because Elite Esports are pushing onto them, and Elite Esports are getting some good damage. It's actually going to be Team Heretics from distance here who get one of those knocks. Light answers back himself. Zap and Phony are both down. Only one player alive here for Shopify Rebellion, and Elite do a fantastic job of cleaning them up. Reject have just been eliminated in the meantime. Here come Team Heretics. They're trying to push on this, but look how healthy Elite are.
Elite are primed and ready, and actually Heretics decide better onto this one. But all in that meantime, Gen G have actually been able to get past Heretics, and now NIP are transitioning south to deny the move from Gen G, which Gen G are now going to get pinched between Heretics, and I take it back. Heretics have gone back and forth again and said, no, we don't fancy that fight either.
Well, Gen G aren't safe. They have to move to this next building, and Dexter's going to get the bang smokes down to try and make that cross a little bit more comfortable. Ninjas in Pajamas have retreated back up to the height and the high ground overlooking this. Elite Esports just kind of had a little poke, but Gen G are safe. Gen G have actually pulled off a little bit of a madness here by getting somewhere safe.
Well, it's because NIP didn't want to give up their genuine position. They were just kind of trying to apply a little bit of pressure and presence. But they had to focus on the bigger task at hand that was the final circle, which they already had a spot in. As now Shopify Rebellion having to use this bubble just to stay alive right now.
GK Esports have been eliminated, one of the teams inside of our top 3 in the last game. Not many points for them in this game. They were trapped over at the north side of Lightning Rod and did not manage to escape. Shopify Rebellion looking to move up now. Nice spray coming in from Zap. But the reset now coming as well, and all of a sudden, Team Heretics are making this one interesting. Great shots coming in from Kurtz. Phony having to reload that RE45. Well, that thing is naked in Yarns. He's got himself an L-Star in his hand. Unlimited eliminated in the meantime off screen.
Genji are coming back, by the way. They can hear all this commotion and they are smelling blood. They know they have an opportunity to pick up some KP. And you've got 4 teams in the same area. Shopify Rebellion and Genji, the ones that are pincering this, excuse me.
Elite Esports are the first team to fall in this kerfuffle that's happening on this side of zone. Kurosame Havoc, they'll fall elsewhere. And Team Heretic survivability, by the way, very, very impressive through all of this, using the Gibby bubble, using the Newcastle just to survive, but they have to take the zipline now to try and get somewhere near this zone.
Interestingly, elsewhere, with Genji giving up that position, it's allowed NIP to apply more pressure onto them as well. So probably another engagement that could be happening down between those two teams. As with the zone shift, it does move away from the likes of Falcons and Wolves, and actually Team Nemesis have now found themselves in prime position as Team Heretics on this survival run been able to find themselves just underneath Stormcatcher here.
Well, Jans still looking to use that L-Star. That bubble's not going to last too long, but the castle wall will slow things down. And that's Dory, the team who really are on the struggle bus when it comes to points. And when it comes to this fight as well, we can dance, but only one of us is going to be able to tango here. Jans left on his own, waiting for the rest to come in. He will fall. Team Heretics are down, and Dory survive here.
The power of Newcastle once more demonstrated right in front of our very eyes. 12 squads now remain. As again, it's about just making sure you get back up and get as healthy as possible. Every point matters here for Dory.
First Pro just been eliminated in the meantime. Dory hit the zip line. Newcastle is still up, which means that Kazu King can at least drag teammates back to their feet, but he's taking damage from the nades. Dory, get the bubble down at just the right time, but here comes Zainu. Here comes Shopify, and Dory's game is over. 9 squads remain. Zainu, it cost him his life, and it might cost Shopify as well.
Well, Shopify were just looking for some KP here, because they knew it was probably going to be pretty dismal from this point onwards anyway. They finish in 9th place and do get some extra points on the board. RRQ also in that feed onto Shopify Rebellions. Now Wolves maybe looking to try and push up onto this one as BKG will be eliminated.
BKG are gone. Wolves still alive, who are here early, remember. Those shots coming down from the skies are hurting, and it's Sentinels who are now sending it onto RRQ. Sentinels with the wipe. And they barely took a tick of damage in doing so.
Oh, Lions are going to push onto Sentinels, though. They've sensed that they maybe have to move away from their spot. And they are going to have a high ground. They're just waiting for this bubble to dissipate.
Here's the Mastiff again. Here's Unlucky again. But he's down. Alliance are down. The armor diff too much. And Sentinels and Monsoon say, I've got a Mastiff of my own.
One more bubble comes out. Falcons now are going to be the next to take a look at this one. But can Sentinels hold on again? It's a difficult fight to take, but Falcons, they are not shielded very well.
Well, they have the castle wall to fall behind their Sentinels. That's why Falcons didn't want to push that. They knew that they would have had a disadvantage in that fight. Not only with the armors, like you quite rightly highlight, but also pushing over the top of that wall. Now the move comes in from Ninjas in Pajamas. Wolves are having a little scrap with Team Nemesis at the moment, who are center zone. And Nemesis are down to just Skittle Cakes.
So it now means that Sentinels and Falcons are outsiders as this zone closes in. And Wolves, Nemesis, NIP are all going to be watching these two teams arrive, but Nemesis, of course, down to just 1 now.
Well, nobody's looking at Skittle Cakes. The Wraith Portal is down here for Sentinels to try and find somewhere to play. Wolves will be safe on this edge of zone behind the Newcastle wall as well, so they are set up beautifully here.
Sentinels get a knock onto NIP. They are sending it onto Ninjas in Pajamas, and at the moment they are winning. Monsoon gets the second, NIP out.
The momentum seems to be with Sentinels in these close-range fights. Wolves still looking at all of the carnage going down in front of them. And somehow Skittle Cakes is still alive. But for how long? He's trying to send it towards Falcons' position here. This might be the end of their game, and indeed, it will be Team Nemesis eliminated. 3 squads remain in our final battle here on Storm Point.
Worth noting, only the one Gibraltar left here in the lobby, and that is Sentinels. They're going to be running Gibby, Watson, and Wraith, whereas Wolves have got the Newcastle, as do Falcons, but Falcons also have a Pathfinder, which allows the zip.
Here comes Sentinels, though. The damage is done to Hal, and the armor not looking too healthy for them. Falcons will find one. It's a trade. Blinks slides behind with the R9 to find another. Hal's trying to grapple away. Wolves moving up onto the high ground. Pieces of both teams in front of them, but can they collect them and collect the win?
Yeah, Fun's trying to bounce off. He's trying to get away, see if he can reset a little bit. As Hal is unable to do so, Falcons go down. And Wolves Esports, now it's just a simple 3v1.
Blinks up. You don't get to take me down because I'm in the void, and even though you hit the evac, Wolves will be your champions.
And a lot of Wolves fans here in Paris who celebrate, to be honest, alongside Sentinels fans because it's still a huge game for Sentinels. But that win, for me, it should be enough for Wolves to kind of get rid of any worries of a
other teams that are scared because we're more confident than they are. And it just comes to a scrap for the... It's the bottom feeders fighting for the scraps, essentially.
For the scraps, man.
Yeah.
Elite Esports and now Alliance have taken up so many of the points. We'll see how this Game 6 turns out. Still fighting for a chance, not only in the survival stage, but to stay at EWC, because 6 teams after this might just be going home. Let's send it back to the casters to keep telling the tale.
Thank you, gentlemen. Great little bit of insight there, and you can see how the brain of Graceful works, which is at times terrifying, at times brilliant, Dan. But it's great to see what he's talking about there was some of the teams who are on that scary side of the points totals, probably thinking about their rotates a little bit differently.
Of course, as a previous pro player himself, he lives and breathes it. He knows exactly what it's like for some of these guys on the main stage. But now it comes down to crunch time. It's going to be match 6. It is do or die for some of these teams, one in particular. And then it's going to be a lot of nails being bitten as they watch the other 2 groups being played out here. Are you going to qualify for match point finals? Will you be heading into the survival stage, or will you be in one of those dreaded bottom 6 positions where your key gets crushed and you go home?
Well, if you're watching right now and you're a bit of a neutral, you're just enjoying the Apex Legends and you're looking for a team to root for, become a Dory fan is all I'm going to say, because they're the only team right now who are sat in that bottom 6. And at the end of this game, unfortunately, may have their tournament ending. So if you've got a little bit of extra energy, you're looking for a team to support, I want to hear some Dory love coming from the crowd.
Yeah, because it would be a shame, wouldn't it, after these matches to send one team home already without actually seeing everyone play and the whole points total being put together. That being said, we do have to send 6 teams home, so it is inevitable. It is going to happen. As match 6... It's locked, it's loaded, it's Storm Point for one last ride.
Here we go then. The last time the groups B and C will play. The last match here on Storm Point and the last opportunity to solidify if it's finals, if it's elimination, or if you're moving on to the survival stage tomorrow.
Which, by the way, when we tell you the format of the survival stage, the amount of games that they have to play, it is going to be a long one for these players competing when they're in that survival stage. We'll get to that a little bit later, though, because now we're going to focus on the task at hand. It's about trying to survive. As the ring console is popped and the zone is revealed, we're going to be heading west. Now, interestingly, you might remember before Game 4, I said the Mill, one of the worst performing POIs, if not the worst performing POI on Storm Point so far this tournament. Here's a chance to change those numbers.
Yeah, let's change the numbers a little bit, RRQ. You've got the ring console as well. The zone is going your way. It's looking like potentially a bean zone as well. So where it pulls, we'll have to wait and see. Maybe a little third beacon will be very, very handy for some of these teams. But as far as where the zone is going, teams who have got to make their way a long way, Team Falcons, GK, Wolves, all on that northeastern side. They've got a long way to go. Dory over Echo HQ, and you have to forgive me for not being maybe as impartial as I should here, Dan. I don't want to see Dory going home. I don't want to see him going home right now.
Not yet, anyway. I mean, if they get 1 point away and they get eliminated later, so be it. But I don't want to
be the Dory pop-off.
Right, exactly. I want to see them have the chance to at least watch and think they have the possibility of going through, even if it's unlikely. As all the teams now are starting to move west. Also want to bring up the fact that, by the way, Elite might have been cursed by me. They were dominating this group. They were looking like they were going to win all 3 of their group stage matches, and now they find themselves down in 3rd. But they do still have this last chance to make history and go unbeaten and win every single group stage that they are presented with. They are 6 points behind Alliance right now.
Unlimit and Gen G are very, very close to each other at Barometer, and Unlimit are doing Unlimit things, which is running at them. Now, I could argue that Gen G are doing Gen G things, but also looking to run at them. Either way, someone's going to run at someone.
Someone has to die. The real question is, does someone run away during that fight? Because often that call is made. And it's an important fight as well, because the winner of this fight has the free rotation on the southern side through Cenote. And they can potentially take that western route.
Come on, Limit. Why are you running?
Well,
that was almost a guarantee when you see
scary thing is, they are running towards ninjas in pajamas because there's an Evo harvester in the area that I think a lot of these teams have been taking a look at, not to mention the survey beacon, which is where Unlimit are heading towards. So Unlimit go up towards the survey beacon, NIP get their Evo harvester, and they say that's their side quest completed. As Team Falcons taking a lot of bullets in the backside.
I mean, GK, who are behind them at the moment, they're trying to go to Zeus maybe to hit that balloon. move towards the Evo Harvester that's spawning. You can see they haven't managed to hit one to get up to blue. And they're just going to have to take a few more seconds to do so, to find their way maybe towards Stormcatcher, Survey Beacon. That's where another Evo Harvester is. And it gives me an opportunity to say, by the way, that Guild, in my personal opinion, I think I might have said this on broadcast before, is the funniest person in the Apex Legends Global Series.
I can confirm that is the second time.
He is the funniest person in the Apex Legends Global Series. Best one-liners, without a doubt.
It's the second time you've said it this tournament.
I will say it more.
It's the third time you said it this split.
Yeah.
And not that I've been tracking.
I will take any opportunity. He's my favorite character.
I can confirm Onset does regularly send me stream clips of the funny things
that he says. Best one-liners.
Often
whether he means them to be funny or not.
Hal, to be honest.
I'm a big Guild guy. What can I say?
No spiders allowed, aren't they? As wolves now are going to...
So you jump a little bit there.
Move through. I had to turn my headset down. But it's interesting to see the positions that are currently being taken up, because no one really knows where this zone's going to finish, by the way. There is the potential that it shifts one way or another. I know that sounds like a stupid thing to say, but some of these zones are a little bit easier to read where it's guaranteed to pull all that way in. And some are banking on it pulling back towards Cito Station a little bit here.
Whatever way you look at this zone, it's another one that doesn't have a huge amount of naturally playable space. The fact that Gibraltar has been banned in match 5 as well makes it even more difficult for our teams to try and hold down a spot. A lot of them are going to try and get their backs to a rock and get that castle wall down a little bit later on, and then get the gen down behind it in the Watson. We are seeing a lot of Watson and Newcastle in the compositions, which the synergy is very good between those two legends. Getting to the spot is going to be another thing. Pathfinder we see in a fair bit of, a little bit of Rampart in the lobby as well. A little bit of Fuse as well. Sparrow, there's a sprinkling of a few different things actually. Axel's in a couple of compositions. Bangalore. I'm just going to list every legend in the game.
Even some alters as well, which, you know, we have so much alter when we're on E-District, but it is funny how that dynamic changes when you move over to Storm Point. It's going to be Flat and GK running the altar as well, so they'll have that portal opportunity. But a lot of teams, again, showing their respect to one another on their rotation, avoiding gunfights at the moment. As we still have 20 teams left as Zone 1 is about to complete its close, and we will get to see actually a little bit more information on Zone 3 and where we're going to be heading. Alliance might be sending it onto Flat. They've certainly been able to bully their way into Zone at the moment, but they are aware of Flat's presence.
There's a few too many footsteps for both teams to enjoy. Nano's just going to back up a little bit closer to QZ and Big Louie. As we wait with bated breath to see where that next zone is going to be going. Are we hard pulling into Mill? Is it going to be down on that low ground where RRQ have actually moved to, one of those eggshell buildings? Or are we going to go a little bit more into the open? Here we go. Well, we are going to RRQ by the looks of things. VP up on the God Rock in a fantastic position as well.
So RRQ, who had priority to zone, they were dropping at Mill. They had the first position they could choose from. Potentially have been rewarded here. Now, for those who weren't able to get as far west, suddenly this becomes a little bit more tricky of how you approach. You'd like to think maybe you have an evac tower as a backup. To highlight, though, our team that is down in the danger zone, Dory. They are on a long old rotation down from Echo into Coastal. They are hitting as much information as they can, or perhaps, Mark, they're trying to keep their tournament alive for as long as possible here. The longer of match 6 they see, the more Apex they get to play.
Low profile tactic. Well, I looked there and I was like, I swear they dropped over at Echo and they've only moved to Coastal Camp, but
now they're into Barometer.
Now they're into Barometer.
More information.
The snail rotate coming in from Dory.
Dory opting to play the Newcastle Pathfinder Watson composition. It does offer them a lot of options for mobility and also some security as well, with the two defensive legends to work with. But Gen G, I mean, it's been an interesting journey for them leading up to this point. They're currently on 68 points on the overalls, which I would say is a dangerous total if they were to be eliminated here. With the teams that are still able to play, you want to push yourself up a little bit more. Just to give you an idea, the current cutoff for bottom 6 is 50 dead. But so many of those teams down in that area still have to play.
Ninjas in Pajamas going to be playing the bottom of the rock formation here around the Spider Cave. And above them, it's KSH. Got to be too worried about any funny business coming in from NIP here, considering that there's not a huge amount of altar in the lobby, and certainly they are not running it.
Target spotted.
But they will have to move by the looks of things in a few moments' time, and NIP then become a problem. They're not going to be safe inside of this zone. Still just under 2 minutes until they do have to move. Ninjas in Pajamas will be safe, but Kurasame Havoc is going to do something about them.
When we get to the later stages, a lot of these Watson teams are going to be relying on these gens to keep them alive. So it has to be a target for teams who aren't running the Watson. You have to make sure you eliminate the gen completely. And it is worth checking in on Dory constantly, because if they do die in this game, they are out. They would be our first team confirmed out of the tournament and key to be crushed.
The bad news for them is that Elite Esports are in Cenote Cave right now, and they are firing down onto them.
Perfect fight to take. They've already won it once so far.
True. Kurasame Havoc are also looking at it, so this deep zone rotation from Dory is looking a little bit sketchy, if you ask me.
They don't want anyone who's in the tournament to eliminate them but the ring, it would seem. They do have to be careful, because even though they've been taking a long time and I'm sure built up a lot of meds, if they have to go back into the zone after being forced out once more, it's going to be uncomfortable.
It looks like they're hitting an evac right now, maybe a zip line. I'm keeping you updated on Dory's movements. On Limit, GK are behind them at the moment, just peppering them a little bit. In front of them are going to be Elite Esports and Gen G. Gen G are still inside of the armory in front of them. But now they're going to be safe. You can see the top left, they are safe inside of this zone, so On Limit don't really have to do too much here.
Well, I think a lot of teams feel the same way. We don't need to move. We need more information, because we don't want to commit as the zone continues to transition a little bit further west. Somewhat southwest than it was before, so great news for Kurasame Havoc. And actually, if Dory can somehow wedge their way into zone, Dory, it could be massive. But again, look at the troubles they're going to go through trying to force themselves in. It's not just Kurasame, it's NIP that are there as well.
This is the most invested in a game I've ever been. I'm a lifelong Dory fan. Over to Unlimit again, a little bit of damage being taken. Dory making their play. Dory making their play. Couple of trades on either side though. Hiramune brought back to his feet by the Newcastle, but he gets knocked down again. They get the castle wall down. Ninjas in Pajamas though, they've moved up behind them. This is a scary moment. The tournament life is hanging on by a thread as Sheila starts to sing. Dory are dead. They are gone. And unfortunately, their tournament is over as well.
Our first confirmed team to be eliminated here at EWC and the ALGS Split 1 playoffs. And finally, Mark can stop being so invested. We can start to look now over towards it's Falcons versus Alliance. And two of Alliance have gone down. One has been able to escape to keep Alliance in the fray. But it's a successful hold of Mill for Team Falcons.
Just wipe it away a tear. Sorry.
There's always next year. Maybe we can make a request that Mark has to crush the key of Dory.
No. Come on now. Well, Falcons win that team fight, like you say. Get some good damage, get a couple of KP to their name. Now, Gen G, they're involved in this fight around the armory. They've been trying to hold it for quite some time, and hold it they do. GK Esports will be eliminated second in the lobby. A little armor swap being dropped off. You know, Dexter can grab that on his way back to his feet. Ziki pops the bat, and Gen G will hold.
Yeah, some of these teams that are on the northeastern side are kind of in a bit of a skirmish. Here they are, Wolves versus Shopify Rebellion. Rebellion are the ones that are being held out by Wolves at the moment. They have the castle wall down and they are applying the pressure. So Shopify Rebellion looking to see if they can rotate around this mountain instead.
Gen G are fighting once again by the looks of things, although that may have been a knock from distance onto Asia. VP from the Godrock starting to do some damage, and they're going to be real damage output masters with the position they have. The problem is the zone is pulling away from them, and Ninjas in Pajamas now find themselves in prime position. Zone is continuing to pull towards them. For RRQ, they will have to move to the south, although they will be safe for the next zone. But Shopify Rebellion have got a long way to go. Team Heretic's just been eliminated. And Zap is going to have to blast his way forward here with that Kraber in his hands. Unlucky still alive here for Alliance.
Heretics eliminated on 66 points as a total. That is not a comfortable number to be on. They are certainly going to be watching with bated breath as we get into the next set of groups. Flat have just lost 2 as well. Falcons and Nemesis working hand in hand to eliminate them, so Flat do go down.
Falcons have got quite the rotate to make as well. Now, How does have a zip line available. He's taken the purple perk to give him 2 of them. One has been used, but he's still got one in the arsenal of Pathfinder to use to get them a little bit closer to this zone when they have to make that play. But with teams still surrounding them, leaving at any point is a risk, taking that damage. It's going to make that landing a little bit more difficult to stick.
And it's a very important game for Falcons as well, because even though they have most likely secured their spot in the match point finals, it's about being as high a seed as possible for that POI draft. You're not catching Elite Esports, you know that. You want to try and set the pace above the likes of AG Global and Team Liquid who go into this next series.
Gen G are having a Gen G game right now where they're winning fight after fight. Unlimited are down, and it's Gen G again who will be the benefactors. Shopify Rebellion, though, they're looking to swoop in. The Kickstart drone is down. Asia just about manages to take it down to 3v2, though. A 3v1. Dexter's on his own, and Shopify, you get the feeling they won't lose this one. Gen G are gone.
They fall, but it's a better points total than they were about 20 minutes ago, so they may have just done enough. Again, though, they will be keeping a keen eye on these next matches they're going through. Shopify Rebellion just forced their way back into zone now.
I mean, they have to. They have no choice. Zone is at their back. Zap's got a Kraber in his hand. Zone is burning. Fuso is down, but Shopify just too much to ask. But by holding out Shopify, Kinetro Club have just been eliminated, and it looks like the boys are back in form. They had a couple of quiet games in Elite Esports. They're back in the game. Unlucky just falls for Alliance. The solo is dealt with, and Alliance will be gone in this lobby. 11 squads remain.
Well, Alliance going down does give the opportunity to Elite to take the lead in this series now, as Virtus Pro also get eliminated. Could we see Elite go back to back to back with their group stage series and win every single one?
Nemesis on the height, down to a duo. Inside of this building is RRQ. They've got here early. And down on the low ground underneath is Team Falcons. And Alb finds Waltzy. We were talking about weapons that are synonymous with players. Well, let's talk about legends. This man knows Path better than anyone. And with the angles that he's taking, you can see exactly why.
Yeah, I love this position from Nemesis and Alb in particular. But it's not going to be a safe one come this zone moving in 20 seconds, so they need to have a game plan in effect as Falcons still surviving, using the geometry in their favor here to survive. RRQ have just lost Pricey and Easy Flash, so they're going to be down to just a solo now.
So difficult to push at this point, regardless of if you get that first knock, because you have Falcons underneath. Nemesis is a duo, by the way, doing a huge amount of work here. RRQ are going to lose Pricey, so now they're down to a duo. This makes Falcons' job a little bit easier, actually, on their rotate, knowing that there's 2 duos around them. You'll be less inclined to try and fight, and having seen the damage been done, Falcons now make their play forward, but there's a lot of angles that they're vulnerable from. And Guild and How are both down to 2 different teams.
Zip, zip, hooray. Both teams zipped in and both teams have gone down by the looks of it, or at least lost a couple. RRQ will be finally eliminated as well. That last remaining player could not get away. 9 squads now remain as Falcons also go down to Nemesis this time. Somehow, Nemesis are going on to Falcons once more.
Team Falcons just been eliminated. A combination of the lobby taking care of the America's powerhouse. KSH, they're in a stinger bolt. And they managed to just about survive. Team Nemesis have fallen. Good KP picked up, a couple of extra points for them as their way towards the zone was always looking treacherous.
So now as we look at teams who have got a good position going into this final circle, NIP, Sentinels are in a good spot as well. Wolves are trying to hold out Elite at the moment, and it's going to be just kind of the last remaining player alive. And their chances of winning every single group dies with him, but it was still an incredible one, and they are still going to be the #1 team going into these next group stage matches.
Wolves looking for another win. DK Gaming just been eliminated, but a much better game from them in the top 6. Cole is not missing, by the way, with that long ball up on the high ground. And Ninjas in Pajamas, we mentioned how they're in the best spot for this game. They continue to be. They have the ultimate height that you can see on your screens right now, with RC below them, Wolves now below them as well, and Sentinels tucked in right alongside them.
Kurosami Havoc, by the way, going into this game, they were very much at risk and vulnerable, and whilst they still will be in those dangerous numbers, they're at 67 points!
Apex Legends is a horror game. Kurosami Havoc had no idea that RC were about to peek around that corner. And reject by name, they reject them trying to take their spot away.
Have they done enough, Kurosami? It's a good match 6 from them to give them the chance. As now NIP at the start of the day, it was a question of what if, but they have solidified their spot at least in the survival stage.
Monsoon with the Mastiff, Renock, Urice has to play behind the knockdown. Might be able to drag Fon back to his feet here, but it's actually allowed both players to get back up. Monsoon with a chunk. But here come Wolves. They swing to clean up the final pieces of both Sentinels and RC. Paul takes someone somewhere. We'll have to see if there was a return address on it. Reject will be eliminated. And Ninjas in Pajamas now versus Wolves Esports. And Wolves down on the low ground are going to have to watch NIP fall.
This one might be a slow and painful death for Wolves.
Vane's making a play here.
They're just going to hold them out.
There's one from Cole. And he's hungry for more. Cole wants to finish this off himself. NIP are back. They will win the final game here in this series. And the doubts from yesterday have evaporated.
And the question is, have Ninjas in Pajamas done enough to give themselves a chance at the match point finals? It looks like that answer is no, and it is most likely a survival stage run for NIP. But still, an incredible final match for them, and they got the job that they set out to do done. Not be eliminated from the competition at the first foremost, but also put themselves as high up as you can so you get a good POI draft going into that survival stage. But now this is where it does get interesting. 2 groups have completed all their games. They have set the pace. And now it's for the rest of these groups, A and D, to start chasing.
Now they will become professionals at preying on the downfall of others, which is always a horrible, sometimes fun place to be in, depending on what end of the leaderboard you are at. But they will know what they have managed to achieve. They will know what their points totals are, and they will know what will be enough and what won't come the end of the next series, which is coming up a little bit later today. But that was a fantastic 6 games, you have to say. Every single game, some high quality Apex Legends, as we would expect at this stage here on LAN. A reject getting into that end game. This is just such a simple finish. The big moment of this for NIP, not only did they get the early rotate to get the height, but I think it was the wrap from Dory that just caused the chaos.